Let's see if I can say this username. Helicopterodactyl. Got it. He has a question for you. It says, my wife and I were 30 and on step 8 have seen our incomes increase 200+% over the past 5 years. Wow. We save a third of our income, but still feel guilty over lifestyle creep. Any advice on how to think through this?
Well, Brent, you do such a good job of talking through this. I'd love to hear your thoughts because you've been a great resource to me over the years. One thing I just want to throw out there, I'm going to say Helly, is that lifestyle creep is not bad. We get this horrible rap and people talk about how it's a negative. Lifestyle creep.
Expanding your lifestyle is not the worst thing as you get more successful.
Lifestyle creep is okay. I mean, that's what you want. You want your life in your 30s to look better than it did in your 20s, and life in 40s better than the 30s. That's okay. You just can't make it to where your lifestyle creeps at a pace that outpaces your savings rate or your wealth building rate. But lifestyle creep in and of itself is not necessarily a bad thing. So what would you tell Helly, who's had like this 200% increase over the last 5 years and still is feeling guilty?
Well, I mean, I always bring things back to a basic understanding. So you know what the plan is and you know where you're headed. Is that, remember, we always talk about make wealth. And that's that phase of life where you really got to focus on the behaviors. You got to get through the financial order of operations, because there's a lot of people that they get the tools, they get the income, but they never actually get to the process of making the wealth. And then once you make the money, you got to maintain the wealth. Mm-hmm. And then after you maintain, and that's where you'll de-risk, you'll pay down additional debts like the low interest mortgage and so forth. And then you get to this multiply stage. This is where hopefully you're a little more generous, because if you think about it, every dollar that you have, because we talk about the wealth multiplier, every dollar has so much potential when you're young because you can maximize that most powerful ingredient of time.
Yep.
But you will get to a point on the make, maintain, and then multiply, is that after you've made the wealth, you realize, you know what, I can't take it with me. Mm-hmm. So I might as well multiply this by being generous with my charities and organizations. But also it's okay if your lifestyle starts showing a little bit more of this. This is why in the book, when I wrote Millionaire Mission, I talked about the timing of purchases really have a big impact on the fact, and I use the example of Corvettes, and the fact that the typical Corvette owner is actually in their early 60s, and I showed that as a percentage of their net worth, it's hardly anything for a 60-something-year-old who's in the top 10% of their age category. Buying that Corvette is not a stress whatsoever. Whereas for a 20-something, which all the commercials for Corvettes will show somebody who's in their early 30s or in their 20s, it is, if you're in the top 10% for that age category, it could probably exceed your entire total net worth. So, Helly, with those understandings, I would ask you need to figure out, are you ahead of the curve, on the curve, or behind the curve? I'm going to say, based upon everything you just shared, you're ahead of the curve.
At 30, it's kind of hard to be behind the curve.
I would encourage you, go check out, if you go to learn.moneyguy.com, we actually have a Know Your Number course, so you can kind of see how close you are, how ahead of the curve you are. And then and that's also why when I designed the financial order of operations, when you get to step 8, meaning you've already done steps 1 through 7, you're saving and investing 25%, and then if you did this course and this tool of know your number, I want you to kind of enjoy life, because you never go get your 20s again, you never go get your 30s again, you never go get your 40s, and you want to look back when you get to be my age and go, man, well done. Not only do I get to live my best life in this season of life, but also I got to build a ton of great memories. I don't want you to live this miserly life where you wake up and you go, man, what was I doing? Why didn't I travel more? Why didn't I make more memories? Why didn't I invest in this type of thing with my children? Focus on that. And I had a client come by. It was actually your client that came by the studio yesterday. And they read the book, and it was the same comment that I get about the book all the time, because they've listened to all of our content, and they're like, man, I really wasn't shocked about a lot of the content, but those last 2 chapters, they popped, because that's where you really unloaded on the kind of knowing how you handle wealth, how your life and your perspective changes, And that's on purpose. And that's why I've really tried to give you guys everything I can think of. So as you go from that make to maintain to now multiply your wealth, you do it in the best way possible.
And 25% is not supposed to be a restrictor on your wealth building journey. For someone like you, Helly, it should be the thing that frees you. Once I hit 25%, I no longer have to feel guilt. If I want to take that trip or upgrade the automobile or do the home renovation or fill in the blank on the thing that you want to do, 25% should free you up so that that guilt just falls off, especially at age 30. Because if you're 30 years old, saving at least 25% of your gross income, you are going to set yourself up for huge financial success in the future. I think you can let that guilt go.
Yeah. Plus your money can multiply, it can help people, and it can, I would lose the guilt but just take a measure of yourself and how you're using it, and then let go of the guilt, because I think it's actually a blessing when you're actually able to be talented enough that you generate large incomes and are a big shovel. That means that you can probably do a lot of good with that.